Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. This video is another in my series of great bands from Seattle that you probably have never heard of. And in this case, more people have heard of them than some of the bands I'm covering, and that's the band the CROWS. And they were basically a spin-off of the U-Men. So if you're a U-Men fan and you haven't heard the CROWS, you should check them out. They're pretty similar to the U-Men in a lot of ways, but not as grungy and not as complex, but definitely part of the U-Men lineage. And anybody that likes the U-Men will probably like the CROWS. And the CROWS were John Bigley on vocals from the U-Men, Charlie Ryan on drums from the U-Men, and then Greg Stump, the bass player. He is in a band called I now, and I'll be doing a video about them. And he's also in another band of his own called Insect Men with Daniel King. He used to be in punk bands in the early '80s Seattle scene, and then Garth Brandenburg on guitar. And that's one of the reasons why the CROWS are so much different than U-Men. Tom Price had his thing, and then Garth Brandenburg has his thing, and he has a great dry, there's no effects or anything, great dry kind of twangy tone that just makes the CROWS music wonderful. They're kind of part U-Men and part lounge act, and they managed to put out a couple records in 1991. They had a single on Amphetamine Reptile Records called Crowbar, and then in 1994 their full LP was released. And so thankfully I've got some material to share and put in links below. And there's also a great live show from a local TV show where they do a performance. You actually get to see what they do. It was always a treat to see them live. They were noted for all wearing bad '70s wedding suits with in weird colors and ruffled shirts, and then they all brought vintage doctor bags out with them. So they'd come out and set up. I saw them one time. They all came out and set up dressed in t-shirts and boxer shorts with garters attached to their socks. And so they set up all their equipment, and then they go off stage, and they come back out, and they're all dressed in their wedding suits. And then in between each song, just like the old wrestling matches, a beautiful young woman would come out with one of those boxes for selling cigarettes, and she would hold up a sign with the name of the next song that they were doing. So it's a great show they put on, and it just really added to the experience of seeing the CROWS live. But really cool stuff. They had more of a sense of humor than U-Men in a lot of ways, with songs like Don't Look in the Crisper. And so just a pure joy. And once again, as I've talked about with all these Seattle band connections, and a lot of times involving myself, Garth Brandenburg was a guitar player in a band with me. We started a band in 1982 called the Chubby Children, and we were together from '82 to '83, and then got back together again in 1985, and then recorded an unreleased album in 1992. And he's a complete legend in Seattle, phenomenal guitar player. Back when I was working with him, he was basically putting punk and jazz rock fusion together and could play any of that stuff. And most people in Seattle that have been around for a long time know that he's one of the best guitar players ever in Seattle, and maybe ever anywhere. I know he'd blush if he heard me say that, but he could really do anything, and an incredible player. And not only that, he was a lefty. He just took a right-handed guitar and flipped it over and didn't restring it. So he's got a really unusual technique as well. And he's a super nice guy. But if you're a U-Men fan and you have never heard the CROWS, then you pretty much need to. Like I say, they're a little more toned down and more of a sense of humor than the U-Men. But definitely, if you like the U-Men, you'll love the CROWS. John Bigley's vocals are pretty distinctive, and there's only one singer like him, and there's only the U-Men and the CROWS with his work, and it's worth having both just to have more John Bigley, the big man as we used to call him around Seattle. So check them out. Awesome band, and I fucking love them. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.